Hello, welcome to Thumbs Up, Thumbs Down, a place to talk about movies and TV. My name is Bryce, and today we're going to be discussing The Death on the Nile. Death on the Nile is the second movie about Agatha Christie's detective Hercule Poirot, directed by Kenneth Branagh, who also plays the lead detective himself. Now, before we begin discussing the movie, hit the like button if you do enjoy my content. It really helps the channel out, as well as consider subscribing and staying around. Now in the comments section, tell me what you think about Death on the Nile. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Was it better than Murder in Orient Express or just not? I'll let you know what I think in just a second. Alright, let's start talking about some pros of the movie. So the best part about this movie, I think, is the cinematography. It is an absolutely gorgeous movie to look at. They do a lot of fancy camera work around characters and being interrogated. When the murder itself happens, and that's not a spoiler, this is a murder mystery, there is an extremely long take that is absolutely incredible to look at. It is gorgeous, and I even had to take a second after it stopped, and I thought to myself, was that a one take? And it is just a continuous take right after the murder happens, and it is beautiful. Of course, something else to point out, just like Murder in Orient Express, this cast is absolutely stacked. Kenneth Branagh is an absolute joy to watch as Hercule Poirot. He brings a certain charisma and charm to the character, which I think is really fun to watch, and he's really confident in himself. He has a very good line if someone's like, "Why do you do that?" Blah, blah, blah. And he's like, "Because I am Hercule Poirot." And that is just a ton of fun. And all the supporting characters are great too. I mean, Gal Gadot, I think, is one of the standouts, as well as Letitia Wright. I think she was extremely charismatic and powerful, and she had this really good screen presence about her that I really enjoyed. But yeah, honestly, guys, let's get on to the cons. Because with this movie, about halfway through, it was like an hour and 20 minutes in is when it started. Like, the entire first half of this movie is set up, getting to know the getting to know the characters, and getting to know their backstory, their relations to each other, some fears and some skepticisms, and that's all in itself good, but it just kept going. And nothing was progressing, nothing was happening, to the point to where I, as an audience member, sat there and I was like, oh man, I checked my phone. I was like, it's only been an hour and 15 minutes already? And nothing was going on. It was quite strange. And then when it did happen, like the murder, it just balls to the wall, sped through it. And just the interrogation scenes were very short, not very, I won't say important, but when you look at Murder on the Orient Express, the interrogation scenes were a lot longer and they were a lot more drawn out, and there was key moments with Poirot realizing things, and that was great. But in this movie, it's just bam, 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 bam. We only have an hour left. We have to get through this, is what it felt like to me. And then, unfortunately, the ending itself was kind of predictable. Like, who did it? The whodunit element was I figured it out really soon. I mean, it was one of my hypotheses. I won't just flat out say I figured it out, but I had a very good feeling about who did what. And in a murder mystery, that's supposed to be rewarding when you figure it out. But in this one, it just kind of happened, and I was like, yeah, that makes sense. And then the movie ended. And that just, I don't know, it didn't feel right to me. Another thing I want to mention before I wrap this whole thing up is I don't believe it's the actors' fault. Because I thought they were all great. I mean, the acting was wonderful. Gal Gadot has a very good scene with Hercule Poirot, with Kenneth Branagh. And that moment was just great. And Kenneth Branagh himself they give him a lot of moments of snooping, and that's another part of my negatives on the too much setup. It was a lot of him sitting and listening and watching. That was exciting to see. Also, we got an origin story for his mustache, and that was just weird. I never thought I would need an origin story for Hercule Poirot's mustache, but they gave it to us. And the theme of this movie is love. That's not really a spoiler. It's just the theme of this movie is love, and they let you know. They tell you the theme of this movie is love about every 10 minutes. And yeah, like, I was very disappointed in this movie. I'm just going to say it flat out. Because Murder in the Orient Express was so good, and Agatha Christie's books are great. But this movie just doesn't have a lot of rewatchability for me. It didn't hit all the right notes for me. It was just not good. So I give this movie a thumbs down. I'd give it a 6 out of 10, I think. That may seem high, but I mean, I can't say I enjoyed it, but I also didn't dread watching it. So yeah, that's my review on Death on the Nile. Make sure you let me know down in the comments what you thought of the movie. Have you seen it? Did you like it? Did you hate it? We're somewhere in between. Let's make sure we have a nice, lively, friendly conversation in the comments. And I'll see you guys later. Have a great day.